You know that feeling when you think you've got it all figured out? Well, what if I told you that true spiritual wealth begins with accepting that you're completely broke?
That's quite the paradox you're setting up there.
Today, we're diving deep into one of the most profound yet misunderstood teachings of Jesus. Blessed are the poor in spirit. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why spiritual emptiness might just be your greatest asset.
And it's fascinating that this is actually the very first of the Beatitudes in the Sermon on the Mount.
Right? Like, of all things to lead with. So help us understand, what exactly did Jesus mean by poor in spirit?
Well, the original Greek word used here is ptokos, which actually refers to someone who's completely destitute. We're talking about someone reduced to begging.
Wait, so Jesus was talking about actual poverty?
No, and that's the key distinction. He specifically says, poor in spirit, it's about recognizing our complete spiritual dependence on God.
So it's more about attitude than bank account.
Exactly. You know, there's this fascinating text found in the Qumran scrolls where they contrast the poor in spirit with the hard of heart.
The Qumran scrolls? Tell me more about that.
These were ancient Jewish texts, and they saw being poor in spirit as being connected to following the way of righteousness.
You know what's interesting? Jesus chose to deliver this message from a mountain. There's something significant about that, right?
Indeed. In ancient times, mountains were seen as places of divine encounter. It wasn't just about elevation, it was about authority.
So Jesus is literally and figuratively speaking from a position of authority here.
Right. And what's remarkable is that his first words in this authoritative teaching are about being poor in spirit.
It almost seems contradictory, doesn't it? Speaking with authority about being spiritually poor.
That's the beautiful paradox. The Bible consistently shows that true spiritual authority comes through humility.
Can you give us an example of what this looks like in practice?
Well, think about Job. After God showed him his greatness through creation, Job said, I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes.
That's pretty intense humility.
Yes, but here's the key. It wasn't about self-hatred. It was about recognizing God's greatness in comparison to himself.
So being poor in spirit is really about perspective?
Exactly. Isaiah 66:2 says, God esteems those who are humble and contrite in spirit, who tremble at his word.
But let's be real, in today's world, we're constantly told to be confident, to believe in ourselves. How does this fit?
That's where many people misunderstand this teaching. Being poor in spirit doesn't mean having low self-esteem.
What's the difference?
It's about recognizing where true strength comes from. Like Paul wrote, when I am weak, then I am strong.
Another paradox.
Yes, and it's intentional. These paradoxes make us think deeper about what true spiritual wealth really means.
And what's the promise here? Jesus says, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
That's right. And notice it's present tense, is, not will be. This isn't just about future rewards.
So we can experience this blessing now?
Absolutely. When we embrace our spiritual poverty, we open ourselves to receiving God's riches right now.
You know what's fascinating? This seems to be the opposite of what most spiritual teachers were saying back then.
Especially the Pharisees, who were all about spiritual achievement and outward righteousness.
Right. Jesus even tells a story about that, doesn't?
Yes, the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. The tax collector who admitted his spiritual poverty was the one who went home justified.
So there's something powerful about admitting our spiritual bankruptcy.
It's the foundation for all spiritual growth. Without it, we're just building on pride.
But isn't there a danger of taking this too far? Like becoming passive or overly self-deprecating?
That's a great question. Being poor in spirit isn't about being spiritually lazy or self-loathing.
What is it about then?
It's about being teachable. The humble are teachable, according to Psalm 25:9.
Ah, so it's an active thing, not passive.
Exactly. It's actively choosing to depend on God rather than our own spiritual resources.
You mentioned earlier about the Qumran community. How did they practice this?
They had this fascinating concept of walking in perfection of way, but it started with acknowledging their complete dependence on God.
So it's like emptying yourself to be filled?
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's making room for God's grace by acknowledging our need for it.
Let's talk about practical application. How do we live this out in our daily lives?
Well, it starts with daily recognition of our need for God's guidance and strength.
Like a spiritual reset each morning?
Yes, and it continues throughout the day in how we interact with others, make decisions, handle challenges.
It sounds like it could be quite liberating, actually.
It is. When you're not trying to maintain a facade of spiritual wealth, You're free to receive genuine spiritual riches.
And this applies to everyone, regardless of their actual circumstances?
Absolutely. Rich or poor, educated or not, everyone starts at the same place spiritually, acknowledging their need for God.
That's actually quite radical when you think about it.
It was radical in Jesus' time, and it's still radical today.
As we wrap up, what would you say is the key takeaway for our listeners?
True spiritual wealth begins with acknowledging our spiritual poverty. It's not about beating ourselves up, it's about opening ourselves up.
And that's actually incredibly empowering, isn't it?
Yes, because when we stop trying to be spiritually self-sufficient, we can experience true spiritual abundance.
Well, there you have it, folks. Sometimes the path to spiritual riches starts with admitting you're spiritually broke.
And that's the beautiful paradox of being poor in spirit.